Hi, everyone, and welcome to Daily Revelations. This is a weekly Bible study where we go through God's Word one book at a time. And right now we are in the book of James, and this week specifically we're in the chapter of James 3. And so today is day one of our study. And what we do on day one is we just read through, see what God has to share with us with brand new eyes, and say, what pops out and what do you have to teach me, God? Because there's always something new, and that's what I have written in the planner for you. So what did I come across this morning? Of course, there's a lot of really good things in this chapter, and lots of good things to pull from. But the thing that really hit my heart was towards the end. That God really just stirred me. Unfortunately, I'm in Philippians, which where my study took me later as I was praying, but I'm not going to share that today. What I want to share with you is about planting peace. And so at the end, this is what James tells us about peace, is that it is a seed. It's something that we do by planting seeds, and it turns to righteousness. It isn't something we manufacture. It is something that is given to us. It is a seed that is what? It is pure. That means it's untainted. It's peaceable. That means that it doesn't bring up discord. It just settles into the ground where it's planted. It's gentle. It doesn't go to harm. It isn't prickly. It's reasonable. That means that it accommodates to specific settings and doesn't give up its nature, but it is willing to accommodate to the culture and wherever it's planted. It's full of mercy. That means it doesn't judge, and it forgives. It's got good fruit. That means that it blossoms and not only fills the one who plants it, but those who also are nearby and can benefit from that fruit. It's unwavering. It is a plant with deep roots when it grows, and it's without hypocrisy. That means it doesn't differ than what the seed was programmed to do. And unfortunately, the type of peace that we've been sold is peace that kind of makes everybody happy. And it's not really a pure seed. A pure seed based on what we find out further above in this chapter is that it's wisdom. It's true truth. It's God's wisdom. It isn't something that has jealousy or envy or any of these other things harboring inside that seed that causes it to not be like these things that we pointed out, these characteristics. And so we have to then plant those seeds. And as I was praying about that, God brought me back to a story. There was a woman that I mentored for a long time, and she had grown up in the country of Bulgaria while it was still communist. And she told me about her grandmother, and her grandmother would go to the mountains. They let the old people keep up with their religion. They figured it really was no harm to let these people go up to these monasteries and learn something. So her grandmother would come back with these stories and these tidbits of wisdom. And her grandmother planted these tidbits of wisdom in her heart. And those grew. And what they grew into was a sense of peace within her own life and a desire for greater peace. They resonated with her. And it was interesting that when we started studying the Bible with me, it was the first time she ever studied the Bible, she would say, that sounds a lot like what my grandma used to say. Just know that when we sow seeds of truth, we don't have to push that this is this is God's word. This is what our God says. This is what you have to believe. We can speak truth. And you know what? People's hearts yearn for that. And that is what we have to speak. Because that is laying and planting peace. It's not something that we can try to figure out on how we make peace with other people. No, we just keep planting the wisdom God has given us in the relationships around us. And we let Him do the work of growing those seeds into righteousness and fruitfulness. We just keep spreading it. And we need to just make sure, like James says, that it's the good seed. It's the one that God has given us. It's the one that's filled with truth. So I hope that's an encouragement for you today. Thanks for joining me on Daily Revelations. I'm excited as we continue this chapter this week. So join me again as we continue our study through James 3.